So since there can't be any frost on the ground, since it was 55 degrees yesterday and mid-30s today, and apparently it's going to be 45 and pouring rain tomorrow. Welcome to February in Maine. I don't quite understand the weather, but climate change, I suppose. I'm switching gears and going to start working up this, my first pile of hardwood. I got two more elsewhere, about half again as big, or half again bigger. And so I'm going to bring in the 1X37 processor in here. Going to be a little bit of a funky area just because it's a bit tight in the grand scheme of things. But what I'm planning to do is put the table here, tractor and processor, and then hopefully have enough room to sneak the Chevy 1-ton in there in order to have the off-feed conveyor be able to dump in there without overshooting the thing. I took out about half a dozen trees right in there and stumped that area yesterday in the hopes that hopefully that'll gain me enough ground to be able to get all three components in line. As it is, I'm still gonna have to cut all these logs a bit short to get on the table in order not to have them get stuffed into this pile or off into the trees or something. A little bit of frost. So I thought it'd be an interesting video to bring the processor in here and sort of show you guys what it takes to set the thing up from transport mode, if you will, all folded up and whatnot, into where it's fully functional. I've got hooked up onto the tractor, and then the table all sort of jerry-rigged with chains and whatnot onto the bucket so I can move the whole thing as one unit. And so let's go hop on the tractor and wheel her in. As you can see, plenty of room to get around in here. Okay, so we got in here. Sort of see how I got this thing chained up with one on the front, one on the back, and scraping the paint all to hell, but it's a work machine, it's gonna get used anyway. So I think this is about where I'm gonna be needing the table in the grand scheme of things, and still have enough room to swing around and cut things off and not be totally bunched up with that log pile. And then just try to get the tractor in here. I should have enough room to where, because I have that side table on the that end, should have enough room to set that down here and be able to get that loader right, basically right in there, and then hopefully have enough room still for the truck to get in through here. I would widen this out more, but this is kind of a residential, driveway and whatnot, so I'm not gonna be interested in not turning the entire place into a damn field. I don't really feel comfortable with just wiping out like that old birch clump and all that shit and everything just for the sake of parking. So it's gonna get a little bit awkward, but realistically this will only take me about maybe 4 days, maybe. Because at the bottom of that there's a bunch of big shit in there too that won't run through this. So I'm just gonna have to cut that into logs and haul it down where I've got the actual wood splitter at, so I'll buck it up and do it by hand the old-fashioned way, so to speak, down there. So realistically I'm only doing this like top 2/3 here, and that bottom third's all going to be getting trucked out of here in log form. So yeah, I mean, I'm probably looking at like 3.5 days or something with that. Because a lot of that's so small, it's just gonna fly right through this thing. Barring any breakups, of course. Breakdowns, rather. So, breakups, yeah. She's gonna want alimony and child support and everything else. So on this end, we just have this deal this little clampy deal going on right there. Gets held in by a cotter pin. This simply flips down, gets locked into 2 slots down there at the bottom of the machine. Now it also makes it super easy if this is edge of this conveyor is right about here, so that way you've got very little room for the logs to flop around and whatnot on their travel into the machine. And also, I mean, I gotta get these rollers here on the conveyor in line with those rollers, so everything's just one straight shot. And mostly, fortunately, all this wood is pretty damn straight, so that's gonna make life quite a bit easier. When you get crooked pieces in this thing, it's not at all like the promotional videos show where, oh, it's awesome, because they're always, seems like they're running pencil straight clear white birch or something through these things. And yeah, this thing works slick. Get some fucking twisted, knotty piece of swamp maple in there, and it's quite a different story. So I'm going to renegotiate here and get this thing set over a couple feet there. And then we'll get the other outfeed conveyor hooked up and then play with hoses. Alright, so I end up having to ditch the front loader bucket there. But I got this thing pretty damn close. It needs to go back a little bit. But also this table in the front, and maybe the whole thing, depending upon the pitch, is going to have to come up, because if you look at it like this, these in-feed rollers are way too low in order to get the log up onto that conveyor belt there. So I'm going to have to lift this thing all the way up to, I mean, a good 6 inches at least. Which fortunately you can do here by pulling these pins on the feet, then raising them up, putting the pin in a higher hole. So that's what I'm going to end up doing. Get a chain on the front end of this table here, gotta go fire up the 60D, lift the front end right up, repin these legs, and see if I can't get this thing to line up a bit better. Alright, so I got this thing lifted up, reset the legs. So now we're pretty well good to go. I mean, it's still a little bit high there, but that's negligible. And I still have enough pitch on this table for everything should keep on rolling down. So now, next step is to play guess where this hose go. One of these days I might grow half a brain and actually label these things. But in the meantime, I just sort of trace it. Because like this guy right here brings down the sawbuck. I don't know if you can even see that, it's not even the frame, but the handle to the right brings down the sawbuck and advances the in-feed conveyor. So you can sort of go from that, because those feed rollers on the table coincide with the in-feed roller. So when you move that lever, everything rolls as one unit, either direction, either forward or backwards. So here, you find this guy, which goes right to the feed roller, power up, and then this one is real easy. It's the only one with the male fitting on the machine end. Nice water in the sleeve. So it goes into the only female end on the table end. So that cuts things down. So all you're really left with is guessing which way you want. You have the dogs here. Which way this other lever on the right, or on the left rather, if you pull it back, so depending on how you hook it up, if you pull it back and they fold forward and let the log down, or if you pull it back, they might flip back up after you have it down after pushing it forward. Sort of luck of a draw. So I usually just get them hooked up, fire up the PTO, see which way it goes. counterintuitive to where you're pulling back to have them go forward, then just switch these two and you're good to go. Then for the final piece, we just let this guy down. About there, and get your weight lifting in. Like so. Crank it up a bit. Then lock that deal in, so that way it isn't as apt to flip around. And so there you have it. She's pretty much ready to rock. And you can see why I was sort of worried about space here for the truck, but I should be mint. Because I'm gonna be able to get, I usually get the sideboard of the truck right about where it starts saying easy, where the E is on Easy 37. Usually get the sideboard of the truck right under that portion of the outfeed conveyor. So I should have plenty of room because the body of the truck is, what, 8 feet wide, I believe. So I should have plenty of room. And also not be bunched up into trees and whatnot, trying to back up in there and whatnot. So it's still going to be a little bit tight feeding the table, but oh well, the more I feed, the more room I get. So only real solution is to start running it. So anyway, that's how I set up this 1X37 firewood processor, or Easy 37. I'm not going to try butchering the Finnish pronunciation of, well, if you know how to pronounce that, let me know in the comments. Anyway, I'm going to start making firewood. Thanks for watching.